Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a very unique kit that's been on my shelf here for a little while, and it's been one that I've had for a little while, and people keep asking me about this kit. They see it on the shelf, they say, what is that kit down there? So I figure I need to get around to building and reviewing this kit so that you guys can know what it is. And so we should probably start off by saying that this kit is made by Volks. Volks is a hobby supply company store basically there in Japan, and they do make some kits as well, including this line of kits. They're VLOCKer's Fiore kits, which are basically their version of Frame Arms Girls or Megami Device style kits. This one in particular is the Iris kit. Now I wanted to check out the kits because I've seen them around before, and especially when you go to Hobby Paradise, which is the Volks store there in Akihabara. I've done videos on that before. Check it out if you want. It's one of the best hobby stores there in Japan that you can go to if you're going to Akihabara. They have a bunch of them on display there, and so I was looking around, and of all the ones that they had, all the different versions that they had, this was the one that I thought looked the most cool, at least for me, but there are other ones out there as well. So this is the one that I picked out that I wanted to take a look at. If I like it, maybe I'll buy some more in the future, but I'm not sure how this is going to end up going together. I'm sure it's going to be nice, probably not as nice as a Kotobukiya kit, but it should still be pretty cool. It does have a very similar vibe, at least maybe it's just the ears or something, and the colors generally. It's kind of similar to the Kotobukiya base lard, Basalard to be precise, I suppose. But now that you guys are a little bit more familiar as to what this is, let's go ahead and take a look around the box here, see what we can see. So first of all, this box art here is illustrated by Nidhi2D, which you guys may be familiar with. I think he also does some of the box art for Kotobukiya as well, so it's going to be basically, that's why it looks very similar to what Kotobukiya makes, because it's made by the same artist here. On the bottom of the box, you got the same illustration there, and you can see this is number 9 in the line of these kits, but on the top of the box, it's going to be a little bit different as we've got an actual photograph of the kit there. On the one side, we've got another photograph of the kit here in an action pose and like a full-size photo there on the side. I don't think that's in the full size of the kit though. The kits are much smaller than this, so that's not like a 1-to-1 scale size photograph there. It's a little bit deceiving actually, because it almost sort of seems like that. But anyway, over here on the other side is where you can see a lot more about what's going to be included here. So you got a front and rear look there. It looks like it's also got some like sword weapons and stuff. It's not really displaying the weapons very prominently here around on the box, but it does have some weapons here included. And you have the arranged form, which is basically just the unarmored form of this. And it looks like they're trying to one-up Kotobukiya a little bit by giving you 4 different options for the face instead of the usual 3, which is what Kotobukiya gives you, and you also have some eye decals for that as well. And then you can also mix and match with some other stuff from Volks here, the Blue Knight parts or Soldier Armor 3 parts. There's some other parts that are available there from Volks as well. And I believe that's meant to be the price. I don't remember how much this cost, but I think that was 6,200 yen. That sounds about right for this. So these kits are pretty expensive too, just because they're from a very small company in terms of like model production. So yeah, about 6,000 yen for this is pretty expensive, about 60 bucks. But that's kind of about similar to what Kotobukiya kits usually go for, maybe a little bit more. But let's go ahead and see what we got here. So we've got basically 16 bags of runners there. Some of those are kind of like double bags. Then we have our hand option parts and our face option parts, as well as our manual here as well. Also in this bag for the manual, I don't really understand why some companies do this, put the manual in a bag, but we also have our waterside decals in here as well. So there's those, basically just the same as what's pre-printed on the faces, it looks like, so no other different options of like looking left or looking right anyway, so you'll have to work with what you got there with those. Although I wonder if different Frame Arms Girl style waterside decals for the eyes would basically work on this. I'd imagine so, they're probably about the same size. As for the manual here, the front is basically just the same as the box art. On the back we have a couple of different pose collections here, just a couple of action poses showing you what you can do with the model kit there. Opening it up to the front, and we got some more poses. This is kind of the stuff that we saw on the outside of the box basically, but some larger photos also showing the color guide there, and the colors are listed down here in Japanese. And it looks like they're actually giving you some options here. It looks like these are the colors for Vallejo, and over here it's got the colors for Mr. Color, and some are Gaia as well. So you have to, I guess this is if you want to use lacquer, you have to use a mix of Gaia and Mr. Color if you want to go for these exact colors. Otherwise you can use all different Vallejo colors over here, so kind of interesting. Here are some other non-musume kits here from VLOCKer. So the Blue Knight Sword, the Prime, and the V-Ray. These are other kits, and again you can mix and match parts. So these would be like the Frame Arms to a Frame Arms Girl equivalent here from Volks. And it looks like here that this is using a 4mm hole for the attachment points, whereas all the Kotobukiya stuff uses 3mm. So if that's true, then it looks like that's a good way for them to avoid people being able to use Kotobukiya stuff with their stuff. Although, of course, you can very easily modify that one way or the other to make that stuff fit, but just straight out of the box, looks like maybe that stuff is not going to be able to work with this. All Bandai stuff too, by the way, is usually using 3mm peg holes for the different option parts and things. So here's our parts list, and we've got a good amount of parts included with this. And it looks like the construction is going to start off with the head, again very similar to Frame Arms Girls, and then building the body and the arms and legs, and then your main body is done, again exact same order as with the Frame Arms Girl kit. And then you build all the armor parts to go around on that, and then the weapons parts and everything, and then it just shows you how to use the weapons. And then all the way back here in the end, we have the Create collection. So it's again just showing some different examples that you can do using some parts here from the Blue Knight, or over here from the Soldier Armor 3, and then over here just some pose collections, so just some more sample poses. So if you're not very good at posing your kits, all you have to do is just refer to these sample images there to get some cool ideas. So let's check out the runners then, shall we? So here are our face options, and the pre-painting on them does look pretty good. Looks pretty about standard, maybe not quite as nice as what you get from Kotobukiya, because Kotobukiya does also usually have some like rosiness to the cheeks and things like that. Some subtle painting to them as well that doesn't seem to be very apparent here. We've got a sort of angry face, a sort of like or sleeping face, a starry-eyed face, and then just a kind of normal smiling face. You do also have the breast piece in here as well. And then for our hand options, they seem to be pretty minimal. You have regular holding hands, these hands which go together to make a heart shape, and these thumbs up hands, and then these open expressive hands. So no closed fists, no like open resting hands, it looks like. Alright, then runner A is just going to be your same face option parts here, but without anything pre-printed on them. So of course if you wanted to paint your own, you don't need to strip these and remove the pre-painting on them. You can just paint these and use the waterslide decals. Runner B here, obviously going to be all of our hair parts in a light yellow color. Runner C, all the rest of the skin tone parts for this. Runner D, some joint parts and things here in black. Runner E, some more joint and limb parts here in black as well. Runner F, some parts here in white. Runner H, some more joint parts here in black. And runner I as well, some more joint parts here in black plastic, as well as some weapons parts it looks like on there as well. Runner J1 is here in a light blue color, although on the camera it's looking a little bit lighter than how it looks in person. In person it's maybe not quite as light as how you guys are seeing it there on camera, but anyway, we've got two of this J1 runner. Runner J2 here is in the same color, but it's a larger runner with some more blue parts on it. Runner K, we've got some of our parts here in yellow. We've got two of this K runner as well. Runner L1 is some parts here in this light lavender kind of color. It looks quite nice. We got two of those also. We do have a couple more purple parts here on runner L2 as well. Runner M then going to be some more parts here in white. So we've got two of this M runner. Runner N in a little bit softer style plastic here for some joints in flesh tone. And same thing for runner O here. These are basically polycaps in a softer polycap material, but again in the flesh tone color. And finally runner P, what looks to be basically our wrist joints and a couple of the joint parts there in black. So as you can see, a fair amount of stuff in there, and it looks very, very similar to building your typical Frame Arms Girl style kit. So let me get this all put together and then we'll see how it looks. Alright, well, so here she is all put together, and I mean that in the most temporary sense because this kit is a bit of a hand grenade. It looks fine, and I mean the kit looks alright. I'm not super happy with the face. I think the face doesn't really look that great. It kind of reminds me a lot of like the other non-Kotobukiya girl kits that I've built, the cat one and then also the Skytube one. I think Kotobukiya does their faces great. Other companies, they just don't really look quite as nice. Anyway, the rest of the kit though is cool. I mean, I like the design of it. It's just that a lot of parts on this are just barely holding together. So, I mean, it's the kind of thing, it's not really a big deal. All you need is a little bit of glue. So if you're planning on getting the kits and, you know, painting it, especially, that's gonna help. You can glue some of those parts. Or even if you're not gonna paint it, just definitely have some glue ready if you're planning on getting one of these kits, because I have a feeling they're probably all very similar to this. So that means this is going to be a pretty hard review for me, trying to do stuff with this kit to show you guys and having it crumble the entire time. So I'll do my best, but it might be a little bit of a kind of short, simple review because it's just going to stress me out. I think what I'm gonna have to do is just bump this up in my paint queue and just try to paint it straight away so that way I can show you guys the kit more properly. But once it's painted and stuff's glued and everything, it'll be a much easier experience, but and it'll look a lot better too. I mean, it looks fine just right out of the box, but anyway, hang on, you guys will see. But I'll just make one other gripe. Aside from the faces and the general fitting issues being leaving a little bit to desire, at least from me, I'm also not really super happy with the hand options. Now, the hand options that we have, see, like there goes the backpack, just fell apart. The hand options that we have are good. You have these open hands like that. You have the hands that go together to make a heart. You have some thumbs up hands, and some just general holding hands. While those that are all included are fine. I like the heart hands, the thumbs up hands. Those are nice to add some character to it, but it's lacking just regular closed fists and also just open resting hands, which are kind of staples of the Frame Arms Girl kits as well. They kind of all have those general hands. So this not having closed fists, at least, or open resting hands would have been nice too. But so the ones that it has are good. I just wish that it would have had a couple of other kind of basic ones. Other accessories include just the regular style legs, which I'll show you guys here in a bit. Basically, it just kind of works as you disconnect the leg there in the middle of the thigh and just swap it out with these all black ones. And you can also just de-armor the arms as well by just swapping out this part in the middle of the arm with just this plain one, just to not have that armor on. And then this one up here in the top of the arm, you just pull the arm apart there and just omit this piece there to just have it as just a plain arm. Again, I'll show you guys in a little bit. And again, very typical, like with your normal frame arm style kits, you have option parts for the sided leg. That yellow part on the sided leg, when you're just having just the all black leg, you can swap out for this one, which has a hard point there for plugging something onto the sided leg if you wanted to. Otherwise, the one that's on there now doesn't have any connection piece there. And then our weapons, which are these like kind of sword blaster things, which are pretty cool. I gotta admit, I do like them. They're meant to just be held like this, but I think you could probably just hold them like that as well, just as swords, I suppose. And they have a connector piece here on the side, but what you can do is you slide this down like that and open that up, and that's actually going to help you to put this into the hand. But then you can switch that connector piece over to the other side if you want to connect it onto one side, but they're kind of meant to be one going to the left and one going to the right, one for the left side, one for the right side. Or you can just put it straight down like that when you don't need that to be used. You can just have it down when not in use, so when you don't need to plug it into anything. So some pretty cool weapons, very basic though. I mean, there's nothing else included as far as weapons go, but generally Frame Arms Girls, Mega Man Device kits, they don't come with a lot of different weapon options. Usually it's kind of one main accessory kind of thing. And then for a size comparison, here it is compared with your average 1/44 scale Gundam kit. It's going to be taller. It's about the same size as your average Frame Arms Girl kit. They're all generally about this same scale like this, so should fit right in with those. So yeah, posing this kit without gluing anything in place is really a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna wrap up this review pretty quick. You guys will get a sense of it with just a couple of poses here. I'm not gonna go through all the articulation. The articulation is very standard. If you guys have built any of the Frame Arms Girl kits or are familiar with Frame Arms Girl kits, all the articulation is pretty much exactly the same. You got articulation all over the place, and it is pretty good at posing. The problem is just getting it all to stay together. So again, I haven't glued anything just because I am planning on painting the kit later, so just take that into consideration. I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend this kit or this line of kits to you guys. If you're interested in this sort of thing, I think probably just stick with Kotobukiya stuff. And the other thing with VLOCKer's kits here is that they aren't as easy to get to. Not a lot of places sell them. Basically, the best place to buy them, I would say, is if you're in Japan. If you visit Japan, if you visit Akihabara, you go to Hobby Paradise where you can buy one there directly at the Volks Hobby Paradise store, then I would say, that's probably the best way. If you're living abroad or something where you're gonna have to pay quite a bit more for them probably, I would say probably just stick with Kotobukiya kits unless you're really, really fiending for one of these VLOCKer's designs. I would just not really necessarily recommend them. Not necessarily a bad kit, and the designs are pretty cool. I like this one's design. Some of the other ones not really too into anyway, but oh yeah, and the other thing you may have noticed that there's no good way to connect an action-based connector for this. I think maybe you have to have something specifically from some Volks option part set, something for this probably, that I definitely don't have, because the hard points on the back don't match up with your standard 3mm size pegs that any Kotobukiya or Bandai action base would attach it into, so that's fun too. Anyway guys, if you have any other further questions or comments about this, do feel free to ask down below. This is my first kit that I've ever built from the line. It's my first experience building any of these kits from Volks, so can't say that it was necessarily a very enjoyable one, but I am looking forward to getting the kit painted up. I think it's going to be a lot better at that point. For now, it's just kind of okay, it's fine. So as always guys, thank you so much for the support. Hope this was interesting for any of you guys who are maybe unfamiliar with this line, or if you had maybe seen it around and never really seen much about them. Hopefully this gave you a good idea as to what these kits are like. And as always, thank you to USA Gundam Store as well for making it all possible. If you guys want to check the link to USA Gundam Store, the link is down there below, and you can use my coupon code ZakuAurelius 10 off everything there on the site, and you can save 10% off, so check that out. I'll see you next time guys, have a good one, bye bye.